So this is the point where normally we would end the podcast and just have a little bit of break and come back with nuts and bolts. But screw that. Tonight we're going all the way through nuts and bolts, starting right now with some esports news. It's because there's been a lot going on. It's been a couple of weeks since we did it. Things have conspired and we haven't quite gotten there for nuts and bolts. So we've got a fair bit to cover, and I figure because we spoke about it in the regular podcast, we've got to talk about Halo and its competitive multiplayer, because they've come right out of the gates with some pretty amazing setup for their, was it Halo Championship Series, or HCS? So it is just like it launched on the 15th of November. That's when the multiplayer launched. Last weekend they had some qualifiers starting for this league for Halo Infinite. It's crazy.
Yeah, keep in mind, it's probably people that have played previous Halos as well that are like, we can just bring the skills across. It's not much different.
Yeah, no doubt.
I think the thing that got me was the prize money. It's like is it like a $3 million prize pool or something crazy like that?
Yeah,
awesome.
US. So they're talking about 3 million USD plus crowdfunding.
That's insane.
What? Plus crowdfunding. So every region will have its own unique player pack, which has like a skin and a couple of other things in it. And a percentage of that goes to the grassroots organisations that are running the local tournaments, as well as the overall prize pool.
That's pretty damn cool. That's
awesome.
Yeah.
It's kind of like I guess you could call it the Dota approach to things.
Yeah, absolutely. It kind of reminds me, Dota and Rainbow Six Siege does a similar thing as well, where you can actually buy team packs and that money goes directly to the teams. But similar.
I'm just glad more games are starting to get the Dota level of money behind them, because for the longest time Dota was like, have all this money for doing some digital stuff. And now it's like, but I'm not good at that particular digital stuff. Like, where's the ones with the digital bullets and the fun shit like that?
You say that, but there's no esport that's going to be anywhere near Dota's level of prize money for a very long time. Like,
I know, but
TI-21 was $40 million.
Yep, and already we're only 37 away from that, from the first one. Like,
that's true. That is very
$1 million
and that's
would be
without the crowdfunding.
Huge. Exactly. $1 million in something like Counter-Strike would be massive. Like, I'm sure they've only done that once or twice. And for Halo to come out of the park swinging, going, hey guys, look at what we've done, and then go, oh, by the way, 3 mil, and then whatever y'all decide to throw in, let's roll with it. Like, no, give it... Write this down. Frame it. Whatever the you need to do. 5 years from now, minimum 10 mil.
Yeah.
All right.
Minimum.
He's called it.
5 years
Are
from
you
now,
going to
minimum 10
personally
mil on Halo.
reimburse the players?
Absolutely not.
If he's wrong, it's coming out of his pocket.
Yep, absolutely. And if you can find my bank account, then let me know, because I don't know. But that's my call. It's going to be money. It's going to be money.
Yeah.
Just the level of detail that they've got in this plan already. Like, they would have had an idea of this, but we're talking 5 days after the multiplayer launches. We've got events that were happening last weekend. They've got this roadmap, which was put out on the 17th. So this was 2 days. So you can see this on the stream at the moment that I've got up. 2 days after the multiplayer launched, which in itself, Microsoft had just gone, oh, by the way, here's your Halo multiplayer. So that just came out of the blue as well. And, you've got your North American finals, you've got EU finals, you've got something that's dear to my heart is they've got ANZ stuff in there. They planned for an ANZ region.
Yep.
So good. What I really love about all this as well is they're partnering with ESL Australia, who were the guys who were previously running Halo tournaments before, and they're one of the premier tournament organisers in the country. When I heard that news, I was like, it's in good hands. It's so exciting.
Because ESL do LCO now, don't they?
They do CSGO as well.
They do pretty much
They do
anything.
lots.
Yeah,
they do lots and lots. Yeah.
They're the big wigs in the esports scene in Oceanic.
Yeah.
And it's great to see.
I think the biggest thing that kind of surprised me is obviously a lot of planning would have gone into releasing this kind of stuff and the lead up to, hey, there's a major tournament in like a week after the multiplayer's launching. So they would have been speaking to ESL months in advance. They would have been probably speaking to the top tier teams months in advance saying, hey guys, this is happening. Nobody said a word about it. Nobody knew that Halo multiplayer was going to hit until Microsoft turns around and goes, flicks the switch. Ha! Here you go.
You better believe they would have had copies as well. Everything to get used to it. Like all the organizations would have had copies. The pro players would have had copies.
They probably would have been playtesting it, to be honest.
Oh, absolutely. For that stuff for sure. I mean, coming from a CS:GO background where I used to play and went to ESL and is it ESL? Yes, ESL 1 New York and IEM Sydney. Like the way CS:GO tournaments go is if there's an update that Valve wants to release, they will roll the update out to the world, and then it's up to the tournament organizers to decide what patch they run on. Yeah. So if there's like a game-breaking bug comes out in a patch and they decide to run on it, rules is rules. They've said they're going to run on it. They can't rerun it. Whereas Microsoft would be like going, hey, these are our plans. What do you think?
Yeah.
And that just goes to show the level of care and attention that goes into it that Microsoft really starts to need doing with their operating systems, but that's neither here nor there.
Yeah.
But it's great that, seeing that level of care in a game that, like you said, they're going back to ESL. They used to run that in the past. And what makes Halo so good today? Well, we all concluded if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Mm-hmm.
Go back to who did it before. They know what they're doing.
Yep.
Release the game again. Just make it look good. Don't change much else because we know it works.
Yep.
Don't fuck with it.
Yep.
It's great.
And with the matches that happened on the weekend, they've got a leaderboard up already. So they have broken it down by regions, but I just wanted to have a look at the top 10 globally at the moment because I'm very happy that there's 3 ANZ players in there. And one of them's third in the rankings for that. But I'm going to guess that that's just because that alphabetical order on their names. But
yes, could be.
Yeah, I just noticed that now because they're all on 3,000 points there, and I probably should have looked at it before. Yeah, I probably should have looked at. Oh, there we go. So the top 14 is on 3,000 points. So, that means there's four ANZ players in there. So I reckon that's pretty freaking good.
Yeah, we know how to play Halo.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, we do.
We're good. We're good at it. That's.
How did I get Platinum 1?
Jace just asked, where did Menfonso place?
Here we go.
I placed Platinum 5. I'm now Platinum 6. So I'm like a B stick away from Diamond, which is the second highest rank.
I'm Platinum 1. I was 1. I'm now Platinum 4. And climbing. So
nice. Get on it.
Yeah. I started in Bronze 6 and now I'm in Silver 2. And that's an achievement for me.
At least you didn't start in Wood like Taxi.
Did he? Oh, wow. Oh.
Yeah. He said, I'm going to be gold for sure. Be gold. Oh, I got Bronze 1.
I haven't lost a single game yet of Halo.
Flexi turns around and goes, well, hey, at least the matchmaking works.
I did say that, didn't I? We know they got that, right?
Oof. Harsh but fair, really. Yeah.
It's all right. He does it to himself.
Cool.
Yeah, cool.
So that's really amazing. Brilliant. Yeah, really amazing to see that the Halo coming along already with not even a week of launch there, just motoring along with their competitive scene already. Speaking of competitive scenes, Riot has announced some changes to the North American region in the way that they place after their poor showing at Worlds in a month or so ago. So the North America have come away with their worst performance at Worlds ever. So they're restructuring the way they do things. So the way that they did things for 2021 was that they had a basically like a point system. So they played the games and got points, and depending on how many points you had, that was how you qualified for it. So which is different to the way the LCO, which is the Australian League, did things where they played Split 1 and the winner of Split 1 went to MSI, they played Split 2 and the winner of that went to Worlds. And because of the performance at Worlds, the North American region is now going back to the Split 1 and 2 for their players to qualify. So they're hoping that will make them better. But my thing about this... Oh, and another thing is that they've opened up a special queue for LCS players and academy players over there, so that only they will be in it, and it's on the west coast of America where it has incredibly low pings, apparently. So they've set this up specifically for North America. Meanwhile, here in Australia, we've got we had to fight for our own league. We had to fund our own league. We didn't get any of that sort of support from Riot. The OPL, which Riot started, ran for 5 years, and then they shut it down. We started up the LCO, and we had, like, you see, I follow a few LCO players on Twitter. They're waiting 40 minutes plus to get a queue to practice the game and do solo queue and stuff like that. And it's just, I don't know, I can't help but feel a little put out that Riot goes through all this effort for North America, but like they sunk a hell heap of money into OCE, but didn't seem to do a lot else for it. And like, I know North America's a huge region, but it kind of rankles me that this is how they treat like that region compared to us.
I'm going to play devil's advocate here because you know me, I like playing devil's advocate. Pete, so go on Pete, our boss man Pete, the god Pete. He was he the general manager of Pentanet.gg's?
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah, so he was the general manager of Pentanet.gg who had a league team in the Oceanic League. He has openly come out and said within our Discord that Riot were running the Oceanic League at a loss. Year on year at a loss. From a business perspective, why would you? When you're not making any money, when the scene isn't improving, why not pull out, put money in where you're going to make a profit, i.e. North America, and have a better turnaround, have a better performance, and have a better result because of it? Yeah, it's shit because the players in Oceanic miss out, but on the flip side of that, it's up to the players in Oceanic to prove, and not just the players, but also the audience to prove that it's worth their time and their effort and their money to put into it. That's just my thoughts on it.
And yes, there is the financial aspect to anything that you have to acknowledge, but at the same time, throwing bucket loads of money at something doesn't fix it. You actually have to try something. And to me, it just sort of seemed that the OPL was the same year after year, and they've gone, oh, you haven't got the viewer numbers, you're not making the money, and just scrap the competition. You know, just giving money to a competition doesn't fix its problems. And I don't know, I get the feeling that Riot just went, you know what, not worth the effort, see you later.
I think when we're talking about, them improving network and server access so their players are getting games more often, that's the kind of investment I would like to see, because I feel like our players do get hamstrung if they're waiting 40 minutes for a game when players in other regions are getting double the amount of games, because, an average game of League gets 40 minutes. So a North American player isn't getting 2-hour one. That's the kind of thing I think I would prefer the money was going into, rather than kind of the running of the league, because they've already proven they're not ready to be agile to meet the needs of our market. How about that for jargony business speak? Like, we've got some unique challenges here. Smaller audiences, technically esports is considered niche in a lot of aspects, and so we, I think, have to work through that as a region. And yeah, a bit of support from Riot would help, but if our top players don't have to wait 40 minutes for a game, that's what I want. That's what I want them to invest in.
But the query is, that 40-minute wait for a game, is that because of infrastructure or is that because of player base? You can probably find that most of the time that is player base.
Yeah.
And there is literally nothing that can be done to improve that, short of having more people play the game.
Well, the Champions queue would fix it in a way that you would, and it would fix the quality of players as well. Like, once again, the league players I follow on Twitter all talk about how they just did a 1v3 and won. But, like, if you're playing against... Like, if they set that up in Australia and you're playing against other LCO players or even, like, the second-tier players, like in the Summoners circuit, where a lot of those players have filtered through to the LCO over the years, if you made a queue for them, then the quality of players that are playing are better than the people that have just grinded out platinum ranks and stuff like that. You know, it's...
Why don't you just have that queue problem just even intensified, because you're just taking the player pool and going, hey, we're just going to get the best of the best. There's your player pool, and you're going to get longer queue times. That's how I see it.
Well, I see it in that you look at it in that the players that are playing are training. So that's what they do. So I feel it would be easier for them, even in a place like Australia where we've got, 8 LCO teams, which is 40 players. But I feel that if they're playing solo queue and they're matching with those same people, and maybe the support players that they've got as well in the background, I don't know. I just feel that if you find a way to bring the queue times down and still be on a reasonable ping, because you can join a North American queue if you wanted, but then you're playing with huge pings, and so
when it comes to MOBAs, you can't play with high ping.
No,
it's the same as with FPSs, because it literally can come down to the split second of I don't know, hitting a flash or hitting an ulti, and it can change the game completely.
Mm-hmm.
Shooting at the same time, and who got the server message first.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's right.
Can't revert that.
Mm-hmm.
One other thing as well, just on the whole, if it was an infrastructure thing, all these games are being hosted in the cloud. Being a massive international company, chances are it'll be hosted by Amazon, AWS. And I know for a fact that you can scale based on demand automatically to spin up new server instances if need be. And if it's coming down to the cost of, but we've got all this capacity here, but we can't afford the bullshit. That bullshit. It's the same company. You're not paying more for an S3 Elastic instance in Sydney than you are in East Coast or West Coast. And if you're already putting the money in on East Coast and not using it, why are you not shuffling the capacity over here? Yeah. So if it is a capacity thing, it can be fixed. It's just, do they know that?
I don't think it's a server issue. Like, in terms of the money that they're putting into it, it was more about running the league, and for and for the like, it's not a server issue, because like you say, it's easy enough to spin up. It's more investment and interest in the oceanic region for me.
Yeah, no, it was more just a case of like, the question was asked, like, is it player base, is it infrastructure for the why do we have a 40-minute queue for just regular matches? And we can also look at it. I don't know how. I'm an FPS player. I'm not a massive MOBA player. I come from a CS:GO background. I know for a fact that there are third-party companies like ESCA and Faceit who have servers in AU, and to some degree, I think New Zealand now as well for one of them. I can't remember which one. But they have their own anti-cheat clients that they run, that you must be running to play on their services, and a lot of professionals are opting for that, because as you guys were saying earlier, like, have the best of the best ranks, play up here if you're in the cheaters. People are just going to cheat their way to the top and get in there. You see it all the time in Counter-Strike with anybody from Supreme Master to Global Elite, which are the top 2-tier ranks. Every second game you would get in matchmaking, if you're Global Elite or up in that rank structure, every second to, if not first game, there's going to be a cheater, a spin bot, a blatant fuck you hacker that just doesn't care, because they can buy accounts for $3 on PayPal or on whatever the market is. I don't know how to speak it.
I didn't get up to those ranks. I think the highest I got was DMG, but even then, you saw those things. It's rife in CS:GO. The big difference,
especially in the Valve matchmaking.
Oh yeah, the big difference is in MOBAs, there's not really that. It doesn't exist. There's glitches and exploits that happen, but there's no real active. Hey, here's a cheat bot. This guy, can use his ulti every second. It just doesn't exist. It's not a thing.
Yeah.
I just had a random tangent thought about the whole concept of, player base in MOBAs. It can kind of also be brought back to the player base that are playing MOBAs now and are actively playing in the esport grew up with the game. So Dota, Defense of the Ancient started with Warcraft 3. It was a mod within Warcraft 3 that then got made into its own game, Dota 2. You look at the generational difference between what we were playing growing up and what kids are playing now. It's all Fortnite, it's all Roblox, it's all Minecraft. Kids aren't playing these MOBAs and actually growing up actively playing them and understanding them. And then when they get to an age of 16 plus, where you could argue that's kind of the age bracket of MOBAs, they don't know, they don't understand. They go, "No, it's too complicated. I can't whack it with a pickaxe. I'm going to move on."
Oh God. I just so heavily disagree with you entirely with everything you've just said, but I have no data at all.
Okay.
I'm picturing like
every kid I know playing a MOBA or an FPS that, yes, a lot of them are playing Fortnite, but they're playing other competitive games and they're seeking out difficult competitive experiences. So, but that is anecdotal. I'll get some stats.
Mine was a completely random thought.
That's
it's just putting two and two together where it kind of makes sense numbers wise that we grew up playing those games. We grew up playing RTSs, and RTSs are nowhere near as big as what they used to be. You look at StarCraft, at one point was one of the biggest esports in the world. Not anymore, unfortunately.
Just Korean.
Yeah, exactly. Maybe that's kind of what it comes down to due to player base, but we'd have to look at numbers and actually find out.
Yeah, I mean, I know there has been declining in MOBAs overall player base. They've been talking about it with Dota 2, that it is dying slowly, even though they can still afford $40 million prize pools. So
pretty healthy death, if you ask me.
Yeah, there's definitely another discussion. Just on numbers, I was quickly looking North America for their Challenger rank. They have 300 places allocated for Challenger versus in OCE it's 50. So looking at that kind of ratio, you're looking at a 6-to-1. So I want 1/6 of the resources that they're giving to North America to be given to OCE.
The dream.
yeah.
But then you look at that 6-to-1. That 6-to-1 doesn't translate across to player base as well. The player base of NA just straight up shits over what we have in Oceanic.
Yeah.
Probably like just random thought, probably 20-to-1 if not more. But yeah, it's. Once again, we'd have to actually investigate and look at the numbers, but we can go on.
Yeah.
That's it. And we can talk till the cows come home about the challenges that smaller regions face, because it's not just us. There's like the South America region, like Brazil has a huge following over there as well, and it's hard for the lower regions. It's hard for grassroots in any spot, and that's why I'm quite happy to see that Halo with those player packs are putting money back into the orgs. So that's just an amazing thing for me, and I think I don't know, like, because League of Legends sold like they sell team skins that go into Worlds and MSI, but I don't know if any of that money trickles back to the orgs that go over.
Googling now.
Yeah,
I highly doubt it. It's Tencent. They're money hungry.
on it.
yeah.
But no, it's Tencent. They're money whores.
But even
it is Tencent. Good luck.
Yeah, and like, because that sort of thing would boost the minor regions. Like, can you imagine, like, Pentanet.gg when they went over there? Their Twitter exploded. They went from something like 1,000. I think they broke 1,000 likes at MSI, and they ended MSI with 10,000. Like, they just went crazy. Can you imagine if they were getting a cut of any PGG skins in the game from the fans that they picked up from that? Like,
correct me if I'm wrong. Is it Pabu? Was that the guy that was like the everyone loved?
Oh, he was one of, but like
Billie Eilish you have at home.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Yeah.
Just imagine how much money he would have brought in alone.
But I think Winston, who was doing their social media, had a lot to do with that, because he understood the power of personalities, and he brought out the personalities of those PGG boys and put them on display, and the crowd loved them.
Sorry, just super quickly to jump back to the skins thing. I have found that players do get cuts of skin sales.
Players do, not their orgs.
Yeah.
And then I suppose it depends on what the org's contract is for how much they get split back in.
Exactly.
So we're
I
think
it might be that kind of not a straight ruling, but there was an article that came out last month just talking about how the 2017 World Champions Gen G have not received their skin profits.
Oh.
That does not surprise me one bit.
There may be some other issues that are going on at Riot that they need to deal with first before they come and help us fix OCE.
Yep.
And Valve kind of have a good idea, good way in how they do it for like weapon skins and character skins in Counter-Strike, where it's if you've modeled a skin and it's been voted enough to be in the pack, every time one is unboxed or one is bought or traded on the market, if it's unboxed brand new, you get a percentage of the key, in-game key item price, and then some of that Valve Steam market tax that you pay when you sell something or buy something on the market, you get a piece of that regardless from Valve every month, which is it's awesome. It's no bullshit, just straight into the pocket. Jobs are good.
Yeah.
Literally rewarding them for their creativity.
Exactly. And
we won't speak about the how, that's something different, but
but that's a lot of fucking money now on the not so white market.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's a fucking cool skin though. Like anybody, I can see why people would want it, regardless of the how it will happen. But anyway, that's like, but if more companies and orgs, I think like because Halo has it, you can go and buy your company, your favorite team's skins. I mean, I think it just needs to be more like that, where it goes back to them rather than what Maddie just said about how they're still waiting to be paid. It's like just pay them, just give them what's in their contract.
Just
please.
don't have shit business practices, and we'll be good.
Yep.
Don't be
That's another story.
Yeah.
That could be
companies and shit business practices.
That's not nuts and bolts. That's white collar crime.
Anyway, I'd like to move on to another topic that's celebrating Aussie esports a bit more, because I'm just going to play a clip here, and apologies once again to the people in the chat with me because they can't actually hear what's going on, but we're going to watch this. So what we're watching here is the weekly survival phase of PUBG Global Championship, and Australian team Fury winning through to weekly survival. So that may sound a little bit like double dutch to some people. It sounds a little bit like that to me. So I'm going to hand over to Natty to just sort of maybe talk us through what that means.
Yeah, so the way Fury run their international championships, which are currently happening in, I should remember because my brain wants to say Korea and I need to double check before I say that out loud, is that they do have a qualification stage, which was a scoring round, and Fury managed to overall rank in 7th place from that, which was like huge for them, huge for an OCE team, especially since last year they couldn't travel to the international because of travel restrictions. So this is really exciting. Now they've made it through to the weekly section, which has weekly survival and then weekly finals, and they're performing really well in weekly survival, and they're on track to be able to get through to the finals at this stage. So really exciting for them. They're coming up against some really tough opponents and are performing really well. So
those
super
reactions
exciting.
are pretty good.
Yeah, oh look.
One of them's just like, what just happened?
What just happened? So yeah, they actually got the chicken dinner, which is awesome, obviously.
One of those guys looked like he was about to break out into the Numa Numa song.
Yep.
We can probably share something about that too, can't we?
We can, because there was a very nice little clip. So there was an interview done with one of the Fury players afterwards, where he did break out into a little bit of song, because they have a song, and I'm going to be a little bit quiet here so everybody can hear.
We have our favorite song when we have a good game. It goes, forever young, I wanna be forever young. How's
That's it. He got a good set of pipes on him, that guy, sitting there singing Forever Young.
It's not a traditional ceremonial, like they asked him for a ceremonial song, but I feel like it was more of either a team song or a celebration song. Not a common one you'd expect from an esports team.
I just, when they were talking about how you celebrate and all that, I half expected him to do a shoey, and I'm a little disappointed that he didn't. You know? But,
no, you don't have to do a shoey
no.
just because you perform well.
I just quietly, I like
not doing shoeys.
I've lived a few days in my shoes, no pun intended, and I do not want to drink out of that.
Oh, you know what? I reckon though the next esports MEO, in Melbourne, shoeys everywhere. There's gonna be when that goes back to being in person. I don't think they'll be able to stop it.
Yeah.
Just to clarify for our friend over the ditch, would you refer to it as a jandally, or is that just me?
No, it'd be a gumbooty. we have farmers here. We'll definitely be a gumbooty. Sheep shit and all.
Just adds to the flavour.
Exactly. It makes it one of those.
What's a bit of extra protein between friends?
Exactly. Protein,
Improves the taste of Tui.
Yeah, well, fuck, that's not hard to do. Bird shit would prove that.
But the weeklies are continuing. If you want to go check out Fury, go look at their Twitch because their Twitter because they're really active. They'll let you know when they're on and playing. But all the games are being shown live on Twitch on the PUBG official channel, so you can go and check that out as well.
So did you say on and playing or on a plane?
On and playing.
Oh, good.
I mean, they could be.
Because they'll tell you everything when they're on a plane. Like, one of them's having their lunch. Okay. What is it? Rice.
So, in other big esports news as well, there was a sale of an esports team that happened over the week as well. So, I actually didn't know that Adelaide Crows Football Club owned Legacy.
What?
Oh, no, I didn't. I had no idea. But,
sorry, excuse my shock and horror being an Adelaidean. It's just one of those things where everybody here is like, well, when's Port Adelaide going to have their own esports club?
And knowing Port Adelaide fans, they would probably want something, I don't know.
Be careful what you say, Straighty. I haven't said my allegiance here.
Yeah, that's okay. All's fair in love and football. I'm an Eagles fan. I cop it all from over east. And then everybody else in this chat is suddenly going, is that the one where they kick the ball?
Football.
Yeah.
Hey man, I don't. I like sports ball as much as the next guy, but I just can't get into a bunch of sweaty men running into each other for a piece of leather if it's not wrestling.
What about in shorts?
Absolutely.
Well, there you go. That's what Aussie rules football is. Regulation sized short.
Is that actually
because
regulated?
That's what we need.
Wow.
Just lets the breeze blow through.
Better hope no one, is unnecessarily packing or might take an eye out.
Yes. Anyway, we'll move on from that.
Yes. Anyway, so Kanga, I don't think I actually mentioned it, but Kanga Esports were the org that has now owns Legacy. So that is interesting for their future, and we'll see what that takes on for them.
Yeah, I'm just devastated because the idea of having esports teams that are city specific really excites me, which is why I like World of Tanks so much, because if you can say to another kind of sports fan, hey, this is your local team and they're doing really well, or I think come out for come and watch the game for them this week. It's a good way to get people involved, whether now I'm going to be like, I don't know, we don't have a team here. You can go for Kanga because they have historical roots in Adelaide.
There's two things I feel about that. One is that I absolutely do love that teams that are named after a city, because it provides an entry point for people that don't know esports to go, well, this team is from my city, so I'm going to go follow them.
Just support them. Yeah.
That's it. But on the second point, when you're talking about playing a digital game, unless there are some rules to say these people have to be from that city, there's no point in naming a team after a city.
No.
which is what World of Tanks does. So they have a roster of 7 players and 5 play in a match. 3 of those players have to be from that city that they're playing for.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah,
We've got a rugby team or a league team. Sorry, I don't know the difference if you're a fan of it. Called the Vodafone Warriors. The Vodafone, I think you've got it over there, don't you?
yeah.
Yeah, right, cool. I wasn't sure because you guys don't have Spark, so that one wouldn't land. So Vodafone Warriors, well, it used to be Telecom, but then they rebranded Spark for some reason.
Yeah, the aligners I'm currently wearing are Spark branded, and I was just like,
Definitely
I don't
not.
think that's what he's talking about.
No.
Come on, brain.
Yep. No, but I probably would have said the same thing, going, oh, Spark makes mouths down. No. Make mouths. Anyway. So
You're more
Vodafone.
typing I am.
Yeah, I know. I am. So Vodafone Warriors ended up buying an esports team in 2019. Kind of took most people in New Zealand by surprise because most people who watch the Vodafone Warriors don't even know how to spell PC, let alone esports, or know where that little E is next to the word sports. So they were all freaking out going, what the hell is this? They partnered with a company called Blank Esports, who I guess don't really... Does anyone know who they are?
Blankety blanks.
I don't,
Well,
but
I
that's
was
just
gonna
going to
say
confuse. Yeah, that's just going to confuse like traditional
Those who
sporty
don't know what
fans even
yeah.
more. Yeah.
Yeah, we've bought an esports team. Which one? Blank Esports. Yeah, who? Blank Esports. Yeah, come on, who? What? Yeah, and so on. And they've now been renamed to the Vodafone Warriors esports team, or Warriors ESC. And if they're anything like the league team, they're not going to win anything. Because, well, you know.
Yeah. What game do they play? Do you know? Or is it
I think it was Overwatch. Checking now. Yeah, Overwatch. So the game.
Good. That's the best game to be playing. There's nothing
Right
going
now.
on with that as
Yes.
an esport.
No, definitely not. Who's that cowboy man now? Doesn't matter. So yeah, they were bought by a telecommunications company group of rugby players who now play Overwatch, and nobody wonders why we haven't heard of them. So
Kind of weird.
kind of like just going on the whole city thing. We have a whole country one, and no one knows who the fuck.
you guys have
I kind of see that as someone just jumping, like a major corporation jumping on the bandwagon. Oh, esports is a thing now. Let's buy a team.
Well, to be fair, both telecommunications, got it that time. Both providers in this company partnered with Microsoft and Sony, respectively. And Spark was selling Xbox X and S's, and Vodafone was selling PlayStation 5s. So they both jumped on their respective and did that. Still did nothing for their esports. Still don't know who the hell they are. Yeah, there you go.
yeah, it's
Countrywide, and you go, and we want cities.
well, you guys have 2 World of Tanks teams as well. Used to be 3, but one of them moved. So you got the Auckland Archers and Christchurch Conquerors as well. And in the B League that they run, they used to be the Wellington Wolverines. Now they're the Wollongong Wolverines.
Oh, get fucked.
But yeah,
You need to fight to get them back.
that's it. You'll have to get more people playing World of Tanks, because it was exciting a couple of weeks ago. I'm just tripping over my words. I start talking and my mind goes, you don't need those words, and just go out that way. And,
Yep.
But yeah, so the World of Tanks Grand Final happened a couple of weekends ago. On Saturday, it was an amazing showing between the Melbourne Matildas and the Perth Panthers. Unfortunately, the Panthers didn't quite pull it off. Melbourne Matildas did get there. We got some footage from the last few...
Vedby's excited.
Yeah.
Oh, look, but it's not Perth. Yeah.
So these are the closing matches on Muravanka. So this was actually an interesting map to play out on, because this particular map is usually pretty defensive heavy. It's the defensive team that normally wins on Muravanka. But in the previous game, Perth had taken a win on attack to get to 3-2. And now Matilda's here are taking taking a win on attack to win the whole shebang there. So that was actually quite interesting to see teams get aggressive on attack on Muravanka and bring out that win. But look, hats off to Matildas. They had a good run into the finals, and I love seeing them play. And commiserations to one of their players, Saxon. I've spoken to him a couple of times over the years. He's a top bloke, and I actually found out that I did wonder, he wasn't playing a lot of games this season, and I did wonder why he wasn't doing it. And the week leading up to the grand final, got to interview him and JS from the Perth Panthers, and I said, "Oh, how you going? What are you doing to prep for it?" And he's gone, "Well, I'm not prepping. My wedding is on the same day as the grand final, so I won't be able to play in the game."
Oh, you can sneak off for a couple of cheeky matches, sure.
Well, apparently not. He was allowed to watch the game on his phone at the wedding reception, but yeah, was not allowed. He was not playing in the game. So,
we're having marriage fights.
That's it.
Would have been fine.
So, what's more important, getting married or playing in a grand final?
The question is, we need to get all the facts here, right? What was the prize money?
20,000 for the winning team.
You know what?
Was it more than the wedding?
I'd say sorry. I'm stepping away for a couple of games. 20k pays for half the wedding.
Yeah,
come on.
Well, no, but it was 20 grand for the team, so that would have to be split between the players.
7 ways. Plus coaching.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I'd rather just get drunk and say, "See you on Sunday."
Yeah, but and also he'd set his, like, in defense of Saxon and Mrs. Saxon, they'd set the wedding date before the season started, and they didn't know that they were going to get into the grand final at that point. So it may have been a pretty safe bet sometimes, but. And yes, Napalmer. So Napalmer's one of the players in chat from the South Sydney Scorpions. Tanks are always more important. And
future relationships.
That's right, and we'll never let Saxon forget that. But it was a really great show. I really like everything that had gone on this season with Tanks. This is season 3, and they just keep getting better and better in the way they run things. Seeing the B League go from strength to strength as well, like they've increased from 4 teams to 5 teams this season. It's just been amazing, and in fact, I believe they're trying to work towards a promotion and relegation system between the Premier League and the B League. So. That would be amazing. I
was going to question that. How does like the B League does it filter into the Premier?
Not at the moment.
Is that what they're working on?
Yeah, not at the moment, but they are working towards that. But having spoken to players over the last couple of seasons, all the players are just more than willing to do what they need to do to get this league succeed. They're very happy. They're great to talk to. And I just want to give a special mention to Jake Truman, who's now an associate producer at Wargaming, who's been my contact to help me set up all the interviews and everything. And he is just such an amazing person to speak to. And he's always really positive about things and is full of information. And I just want to say a special thanks to him as well, because he's the one that's put me in touch with the players week after week to get these interviews going. And it's
just out of curiosity, do Wargaming also do all the warships?
Yes,
they do.
I think that
and warplanes, right?
Yeah, I was going to say I think there's warplanes as well.
Someone I used to go to school with works for them.
Oh, nice.
Who started off as a streamer, worked for EA for a bit from memory, and now she's at Wargaming.
I think I know the person. We've had this conversation before.
I think we have.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
But
sorry, random tangent.
Yeah, but it's been great to see, and I'm looking forward to season 4 when that starts up next year.
And I hope everybody here gets on the tipping next season.
Yes. I do have that to show off as well. So they do a fantasy league where you can pick players to go on your fantasy team. This year they introduced a star system, so players would have between 1 and 5 stars, so you could only fill your team with 15 stars in total. So that kind of evened it out a bit. I do all right. I finished up 11th, but
congratulations!
Yeah, that was out of everybody after the final series. I'm a little bit annoyed that Jake finished a couple of spots ahead of me, but we're going to sort that out. He's beaten me twice now, so I'm going to have to pick up my game next season.
Wait, if you beat him next time, does that mean that you get the promotion?
I think so. I don't know where I'm getting the promotion to, but yeah. Yeah. But yeah, no. So that was really cool. And if you want to get in on it, like, I've only really been watching World of Tanks for the last couple of seasons, and I'm finishing up that high. So it's
look, the names alone will help you pick who you want to go for.
Oh, yeah.
Like the Napalmer.
Yeah, Napalmer. Like, and you learn the teams as well. I just found it was a really cool tool to let you learn everything as well. And it's not for nothing either. Like this season, so the fantasy standings was for everybody. The prize standings was for the people eligible to win the prizes. This actually finished at the end of the regular season, so it doesn't include finals, which is why I'm down at 14th instead of up higher. But like HyperX chip in some stuff, and there's some in-game gold that you can win as well. So that there's rewards for playing it as well.
Man.
And just to finish that one off, I'd want to say, because silly little me, I actually had my hockey team wind up the same night as the ANZPL Grand Final, but luckily I was hosting it at my place, so I'd set up a screen outside to have this going. And one of my favourite bits of the night from that hockey wind up, apart from getting on the beers with the boys, was because they've all got families, so some of the kids come along. So I'm sitting there watching it, and there's this group of kids that I'm sitting there with talking about World of Tanks and how the game works. And I just there was even a couple there that had played World of Tanks themselves. But just talking to them about the game and explaining bits and pieces to them, like I had a really freaking fun time doing that. So if anybody wants to learn about World of Tanks, I'm happy to sit with them and impart my limited knowledge on the game. And yeah, just enjoyed it. So I hope everybody's enjoyed. Yeah, jump into our Discord and have a chat with us there. And yeah, get on board for season 4 when that starts.
Exciting.
Yep. So yeah, that's it. That's my that's the end of the World of Tanks. But I think there's one more thing I want to have a chat with, because we don't often get on the same stream at the same time, Menthy. And I remember a while ago we were talking about speed running and if that's an esport or not. And I remember you sitting in Twitch chat saying it is definitely not, and spelling esports in the way only you can.
With an F?
My brain always reads it esports when you start typing it in higher and lowercase.
Yeah.
It just loses all meaning.
Which way do you prefer? Or I can do esports. Like, I can keep going.
Somewhere Zulu is watching and quietly dying inside.
H Sports.
Is that one better?
Yeah.
That's smart.
H Sports wins.
But
season 4 projected for March, so a bit of a wait. Okay, that's fair.
Well, thanks, Napalmer. But yeah, like, and I think Natty and I were having a brief. It came up in somewhere, and I said, "Well, why isn't speedrunning considered an esport?" And you said in chat, "It's not." And I want to say, why isn't it? Because it's a race. You might not be racing at the same time. It might be like time trials for things like F1 to determine position in the starting. Like, yeah, why is it not? Why wouldn't you consider that an esport?
Hold on. Before he answers, since we got you both in here, is that how he argues? It's not. Please.
Yeah.
Just one word. It's not. It is. No, you're wrong. Shut up.
I just need popcorn right now.
Yeah, good.
Sitting on the other side.
Hang on, where's the mute button? I'm going to fix this.
Okay. I pose a question to you. ESL, IEM, the international NALCS. what is the main benefit of playing in all these kind of high-end esports? What is the goal?
Money.
The goal would
Money.
be
Money and fame.
Yeah.
Well, as an individual, you would be doing it. It is your job. You earn money for it. That is your full-time profession. Speedrunning, there's no money in it. The only, and correct me if I'm wrong, I'm sure there's probably other events that have it, but the only event that I know of on record is the Break the Record event for Super Mario 64 that they started, I think, last year, that is also run again this year, which is literally, I think, a crowd-funded amount of, I think, $5,000 for someone to break the speedrunning, I think it's 70 star for Super Mario 64 world record. The last Break the Record was won by Cheese, who is a very, very famous Super Mario 64 speedrunner. And, you know, when it comes down to seconds, split seconds, milliseconds within these runs, and for such a minimal amount to be at play, it's, I don't know, I'm of the concept of if it needs to classify as an esport, there needs to be money there, and someone needs to be able to make a profession out of it.
Okay,
can I jump in at some point?
Yeah, you'll go now.
Yeah, you go, Natty. Yeah.
So my counter argument is that Tony Hawk Pro Skater is an esport. It is people running separately through time trials, score trials, and it's supported by the developer. There is money in it.
Okay.
That would be my counter.
So we have two examples out of how many games that get speedrun.
I would also counter with the point that I play hockey. I play hockey on a weekend. Because I don't get paid for that, does that mean I'm not playing a sport?
No, not at all. But you're playing as a hobby.
But I'm still playing a sport. So
Speedrun is a hobby too.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Sweet. So you're basically saying that any multiplayer game can be classified as an esport.
Yep.
Doesn't matter what it is, any single multiplayer game can fall into the category of an esport.
If you're playing competitive, if you're playing competitively,
something that came up today, farming simulator. That's an esport.
Yes, because there's a tournament and there is prize money involved.
And it's, I would say it's not the core gameplay that makes that an esport. They've created esports modes specifically.
Yeah, that's
exactly
fair. But can you speedrun farming simulator?
I mean, I've never tried.
Yeah, I mean, they've got
grow a carrot quickly
and stuff, so you could, but I don't.
Let me check. Carry on. I'll do.
Well, you can speedrun Minecraft.
The way I look at speedrunning is the game has to have a beginning and an end. You have to have a point at where you start the game, and there has to be a point at where you end the game. There can be stuff in between that you have to do, certain objectives you have to do, but there is a clear start and finish. That's it. You look at all the major esport events in the world, Awesome Games Done Quick, Summer Games Done Quick, all those kinds of events, they're run for the sake of being run. No one there is paid to do that. And that is the major events for those, essentially for those organizations.
Once again, yes, but I would still like you brought up you said before. Would you call any multiplayer game an esport? And I would say if it's a competitive mode like ranked, I would say yes.
Yeah, no, that's valid.
And
you can't speedrun ranked. I mean, you probably can because you can see how quick you can get from bronze to diamond or bronze to whatever. But that's still not necessarily. Speedrunning is traditionally a story mode, so a campaign of a game from start to finish.
But if you're racing in it, then that is by definition the sport. You're racing somebody. Like what's I just don't see the difference between how fast can you finish this game? And like, especially like you talk about GDQs and AGDQs, SGDQs and whatever, like they quite often have speedrunning races. So
Mario Maker, that happens a lot.
Yeah.
Yes, that's fair.
Yeah. And even other games like they'll and in fact I've seen there's ones that have gone, all right, we're going to race through these 4 games in the series and they'll have different runners do each one to see they'll have a block of them. But so would you call that an esport? Because it's a competitive race and there can be a winner?
I think it falls into its own category. I think esports and speedrunning are two completely different categories that they can't be classified as the same thing. For the pure fact that majority or almost all esports don't have a beginning and an end. Speedrunning does. There is a point at where speedrunning will reach an absolute pinnacle where a game cannot be beaten any quicker. Whereas in esports, someone's always going to be better than you. It's always going to happen.
See, I would also, I guess when I
speedrun Farming Simulator, by the way, it can do it. It's a thing.
Okay,
yeah, you can speedrun Roblox and speedrun.
You can speedrun Minecraft. And... it just depends what goals you set. Like, you could speedrun anything, just depending on, what criteria you set around it.
Speedrun Minesweeper.
Yeah.
You can speedrun life if you really want to.
That's what this one's doing.
But yeah, like you could look at like the rankings of speed runs, kind of like world records or Olympic records in races. Like, granted that's not a direct competition, and they still have their meets and whatnot, so that there's a competition that someone could win, but they still have world records and stuff like that. So
what if I throw a spinner into the works and say the sports that are at the Olympics? In like the esports that are at Olympics.
The esports at the Olympics, though, they're an interesting one because they're more digital versions of sports already at the Olympics.
FIFA, NBA, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I don't think it's even that. Like, because I vaguely remember looking it up before, and they were like some sort of shooting. Yeah, hang on.
Wii Sports.
No, but
two people standing there with Wiimotes playing tennis.
Pretty much.
Yeah, I think they were designed to replicate the real sports rather than being existing video games. That, which to me doesn't really matter, but yeah. So
esports
it'd
competition.
Be interesting to see a top-ranked speedrunner, someone like Linkus, someone like Cheese, someone like what's his name, the dude that does all the Mario makers. Straight, help me out here.
No, well, there's a lot. Like Grand Pooh Bear is probably the one you're thinking of.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking of. Yeah, and it'd be interesting to see what their thoughts are on it, whether they classify it as a speedrun, as a esport.
I think there is a line between things being competitive before they're an esport. That is a baseline of entry to be an esport, but not everything that's competitive can be an esport. But defining all the things here is tricky for me, and I think for me, if it's got financial backing, does make a difference. Because I entered the Mini Metro tournament at PAX a couple years in a row and got third place at one of them. Woo! Am I an esports person? No. I think lack of a pro scene may be another kind of.
But then again, I'm going to shoot myself in the foot here, but most speedrunning categories do have a pro scene.
They do.
And have,
absolutely.
The select, handful of people.
Yeah,
who's paying them?
Yeah.
Twitch. Literally, all these people stream on Twitch, and that's where their money comes from.
But they're not
full-time streamers.
But they're not. Yeah, I'm going to shoot myself on the foot here too and say that they're streamers that do speedrunning, so they're being paid as a streamer. They're not being paid as a speedrunner.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just to get back to the esports at the Olympics, Tokyo 2021, the esports were sailing, virtual regatta, cycling, Union Cyclist International, whatever that is, rowing, open format, motorsport, FIA, Gran Turismo, baseball, World Baseball Software Confederation, eBaseball, Powerful Pro Baseball 2020. So
Jesus Christ, sounds like a Wish product.
Oh yeah, it's so they're sports that are already at the Olympics.
Yeah,
being
just digital versions of them.
Yeah, so it's not even stuff like playing. I don't know what was MLB. MLB was the last baseball game, was it? It's not even playing games like that. It's
okay.
So that's esports at the Olympics, but I think. So after our discussion here, I think probably if we had to give a definition of it, I think Natty hit the nail on the head by saying that if a pro league exists for it, then it's an esport. So with
but like she said, there is that very fine. It's essentially a fine line between, is it a speedrun or is it an esport?
Yeah, and I would argue, and like after our discussion here, I would now argue that speedrunning is not an esport because there is no pro league for it. There are people that devote a lot of time to it, but there's not a pro league.
I think we could probably look at it and break it down. You literally have to break it down by category, because you look at speedrunning as a whole. There's people that speedrun, 8-bit, 16-bit games. There's people that speedrun, games that no one has ever heard of. And just because they're classified as a speedrunner, that doesn't classify as an esport.
Just quietly, there have been times that I have gone through speedrun.com and gone, ooh, that game's only got one person on the leaderboard. I'm going to run that so I get on the leaderboard.
That's cheeky.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think if you look at like some of the major ones, like Super Mario 64, Breath of the Wild, all those kinds of major games, you could argue that they would be classified as esports.
Yeah.
So I think it comes down to depending on the game category.
So we need to get the developers to support a esports pro league for speedrunning for their games when they release them.
Done.
Yeah.
Nice. I like that. That's good. So I think that's
in the last 10 minutes, I was tuned out.
Shall we do it again? We need to do it again. No. But I think we've been going for
fast.
Yeah, that's it. Got to go fast, Sonic style. But I think that's we've been going for almost 2 hours now. So I appreciate everybody for joining me. Thank you, Natty. Thank you, Menthonzo. Thank you, G. Thank you, Reflex. So it's been a great chat to have you all in first for the potty. And thank you, Link. Thank you, Link, for joining us as well. Yeah.
Just a cheeky spit up right on stream.
Yeah, it was beautiful. The timing was just perfect. Yeah.
But yeah, thanks all for joining me. And stick around. I'm going to be playing some games after this. I'm not sure just what yet, but I will be back fairly shortly.
And as we always say,
don't forget to save.
That's a bit like
speedrunning is not an esport.
Yeah. Woo!
Finding the memory card, it's an esport.
Thank you so much for stopping by to watch this video. If you like what you're seeing, why not check out this video here? Or if you really like us, drop us a subscribe. And don't forget to like and comment as well. Thanks, and we'll see you next time.